What is going on, guys? Back with another video. I'm going to be bringing you another tier list. This is going to be a high cap tier list. You could also call it a safety net tier list as well. A lot of people have been asking me to do one of these because, of course, you do need some, solid safety picks in your portfolio, which aren't gonna, pretty much all of these are down heavily. But compared to your low caps and your micro caps, these are gonna hold up a lot better. So let's get into it, guys. There's around over 50 projects here based purely on my own opinion. We've got 6 tiers here from not worth it. We've got 3x, 5x, 5 to 10x, 10 to 15x, and 20x. Now, you're probably thinking, where's the 50x, 100x? None of these are, realistically going to do more than a 20x from here, guys. I'm trying to be realistic with you and, not sell you a dream. So anyway, guys, let's get into it. First is Ethereum. Now, it's really been struggling, and, this is what we're waiting for to really kickstart alt season. Around 3,200, and it's just been very stagnant, but I do think we will see it move and potentially hit the 10k figure, which is around a 3x from here. I don't think it's going to go to 15k, so for me, I'm going to put this as a 3x. Next, we have BNB, which has performed pretty well. It's very close to breaking its all-time high, around 100 billion in market cap. And, can this go and do a 5x? I don't think so. I think, again, it's probably going to do something like a 3x. Next, we have Tron, which has performed very well. And, a lot of people were fading Tron and saying, it's not going to do anything. But, it's up around 2x over the past year, and it's outperformed a lot of the high cap layer ones. Got a massive amount of TVL, and, I do think it's going to continue to develop. I think, it's around 20 billion, so potentially could give you a 5x from here. Even higher, I do think it can smash through the 100 billion mark. Next on the list, guys, is Doge. Now, we've seen, of course, the news with the Trump meme, which has taken a bit of the attention off Dogecoin, but I do think it still will perform well. But again, guys, this is a massive market cap. This is over 50 billion in market cap, and, it's not too far from its all-time high, which I think was 100 billion. But, in terms of what this can do from here, of course, we've got news with, Department of Government Efficiency. So with all that news, could this do a 5x? Could it go to 250 billion? Potentially. I'm going to put it as a 3 to 5x, I think. I'm going to put it as a 3x, guys, but it could do a 5x. But again, 5x is 250 billion, which is a lot of money to be, we need a lot of money to flow into this to get that to that level. Next, we have Stellar XLM, which is, it's performed well again over the past year with Ripple. We've seen, this pump. It's around 12 billion in market cap, and, what can this do from here? Can it go to a 10x, which is 120 billion? I think probably more realistically is a 5x. I do think it can pump, and, it's something which is pretty, it pumps similar to something like Ripple. So yeah, this could definitely still have a lot of room to move from here as well, and it still hasn't broke its all-time high. Next, we've got Sui. Now, this has performed very well. It's been one of the most bullish layer ones. It's fresh, it's new, it's attractive for investors who want to get more returns on their money. And we've seen a decent pullback on this. It's down around 15% over the past few weeks, and it's around 12 to 13 billion in market cap. Now, can this do a 10x, which is 130 billion? I do think it's on the cards, but I think 5 to 10x, I think somewhere in the middle, maybe like a 7x is more realistic for Sui. Got huge plans for 2025. We've got a massive ecosystem, and it's a very bullish project. I think it's a really good safety net as well for your portfolio. Next on the list, guys, is Ton, which is another layer one, which has also performed pretty well. Over the past year or so. It is around 13 billion, but again, with its links to Telegram and the amount of users it can onboard, it's got a massive ecosystem. Again, I do still think potentially a 5 to 10x is possible on Ton. I'm going to put it as a 5x. I think investors are more attracted to something like Sui, but again, Ton is a decent option. I think it's a much better investment than something like BNB from this stage. Next, we've got Shiba, which has had a bit of a hard time. It's sort of, we've seen so many meme coins launch, and this was one of the first ones, the main ones. It's around 11 to 12 billion in market cap at the time of recording. In terms of what I believe it can do, I think, of course, because it's 5 times smaller than Doge, it probably can do more gains. I'm going to put it as a 5x from here. I think 50 billion, around 50 billion is possible for Shiba, but they do need to pick up in terms of developments. Next on the list, we have some base exposure, Aerodrome Finance, which is the central liquidity marketplace for Base. And, we know how big Base is going to be. Coinbase is going to continue to, bring on millions and millions of users. So I really do think this is a very good play. Of course, it has ran up massively. People are up huge amounts on this project, but it's on a good dip. It's down around 40% on the month, and it's under 1 billion in market cap. I do think potentially this could give you a 10 to 15x. I'm going to put it as here, guys, on the top. So, towards a 5 to 10x, but I do think a 10 to 15x is very possible, but I'm trying to be a bit more conservative on my predictions. Next on the list, guys, we have ASI, which is, one of the biggest, I believe it is the biggest AI project, along with the likes of Nia and also Tau. So I do like this. Of course, they had the merger as well, and a lot of attention seems to have sort of dipped from this as well. But I do still believe, it can give you some decent returns from here. It's around 3 billion in market cap, and it's also on a decent dip as well. But again, with a huge AI narrative, in relation to the Stargate project, I do think we're going to see some of these high caps have a huge amount of growth behind them. Personally, I do prefer something like Tau, but this can still give you, I believe, a 5 to 10x from here. Very solid project, and it's going to be a very good safety net for your portfolio if you want some AI exposure. Next on the list, we have HBAR. Now, HBAR has performed very, very well over the past sort of year or so. The past sort of, this in 2024, we saw huge growth, and this went up around 6x in a very short space of time. It's now around 12 billion in market cap, and I do think the gains are going to be a lot less from here. But again, it is a decent safety net. I just don't think it's going to give you those huge, massive gains from other projects. Probably a 5 to 10x from here, I think, is still on the cards. I'm going to put it here. It's very similar to Sui's market cap, but I do think something like Sui can probably give you the edge in terms of returns from here. It'll probably do more than the 5x, but I don't really see it going to above a 10x. So again, in this 5 to 10x category, this is going to be things which are going to do something in the middle, like a 7, 8x potentially. Next on the list, guys, we have Uniswap. This is, of course, one of the OGs, one of the main dexes for Ethereum, the main dex for Ethereum. And, it has a huge amount of volume which has passed through this. In terms of, where I see this going, I think, decentralized exchanges have seen a bit of a hard time recently. And, Uniswap, to be fair, has performed well over the year. And in terms of the price action, it remains pretty stable. It doesn't dip too much. It's around 7.6 billion in market cap, guys. So it is a big, big market cap project. I think probably a 5x from here. I just think people are going to put their money into, things which are more bullish. They're going to look to something like Base and Aerodrome, which I think can give you better returns. But again, guys, Uniswap is a solid project, and, I think it still can perform really well. Litecoin, another OG, this brings back memories from 2017. And we saw the memes released based on Litecoin, the mascot. And that was one of the main things which pumped the price for Litecoin. So, in terms of utility play, it's not really an attractive choice for investors, but I still think potentially could give you like a 5x from here. It's around 9 billion in market cap. I think a 5x is possible for Litecoin because the market cap is a lot smaller than these 3x tiers. The next on this, guys, is the coin which has caused a lot of the damage in terms of altcoins. They sucked out all the liquidity, and he decided to launch on Solana instead of Ethereum, the Trump official meme coin, which has it's dipped a lot since sort of this got hyped. It's around 50% down, I believe. And again, there's still a massive amount of supply to be unlocked, and majority of the supply is with the insiders. So look, guys, it probably can do something like a 10x. It probably can even do a 20x, but I just don't think it's worth it because it's just there's too many insiders, and eventually they're going to take profits out of this. They already have, and they're rotating it into utility plays. But look, it'll probably do a 5. I'm gonna put it as a 5x because if he retweets this, he can cause a massive price surge in it. But I wouldn't put too much confidence in this long term. Next on the list, guys, is Pepe. This is a project which I do like, a meme coin, which this has grown organically. It's shown solid growth, and it's established itself as one of the top meme coins. And I don't think anything's going to change. I think it is going to continue to grow. It's down around 30%. It is around 6 billion in market cap. And can this do a 10x? Can I go to 60 billion? I do think it has potential, guys. I'm going to put this in the 5 to 10x category. You look at Doge, Dogecoin is around 9 times bigger than Pepe. You've got something like Shiba, which is double the size of Pepe. I think Pepe is a decent pick, a decent safety net for your memes. Next on the list, guys, we have Near Protocol, another project which has performed pretty well over the past year. It is down around 25% over the past 2 months. And, this is a very good project. Layer 1 also gives you exposure to the AI narrative. I think it's a good safety net. Again, hits multiple narratives. I think, potentially a 5 to 10x. I think, 5 to 10x is possible for Near. Very good project. And, I think it's a decent pick and also a decent safety net. 10x is around under 60 billion, I believe, which I think is possible. I just don't think it's going to go much higher than 10x, 10 to 15x, which I'm trying to keep for those projects which I really think are undervalued. The next on the list, guys, is DOT. And, this has been really disappointing. This was an old project. I think one of the most bullish things on DOT is this animation they have here. You can see this thing with this fire. But, look, guys, it's performed awful. It's been a very poor crypto to hold. And, I just don't think it's a good investment, but it's been beaten up so badly that it probably is going to pump when we see, alt season come. So again, 3x, maybe a 5x. I'm not sure on the market cap. I think the market cap is pretty small on this. I think it's around under 10 billion. I'm going to put this I'm going to put it as a 3x, guys. I just don't think it justifies an investment. And if you've made hard-earned money, you've worked hard to get your gains, and why are you going to put it into something which is basically just been destroyed over the past few years? Not worth it. Next on the list, guys, we have Aave. Now, this is another good project which has shown a huge amount of growth. It's also a project which I believe that World Liberty has also been accumulating, if I'm correct. And essentially, why I like this is it's going to really onboard a lot of people, and it's one of the best overall DeFi projects as well. And again, it just gives you exposure to different ecosystems as well. And again, it is pretty high in market cap. It's around 5 billion in market cap, and has pumped up massively. But I still believe potentially can give you like a 5 to 10x from here. Next on the list, guys, we have AVAX. Now, AVAX is one of my favorite layer ones. I think it's really slept on still. When you compare it to something like Solana, Solana has performed very well, and a lot of people compared Avalanche to something like Solana. It has a huge ecosystem. It's got huge backers, huge use case, especially in things like gaming. I really do think it has potential. Also has a good amount of artificial intelligence based projects who are building on it, and I do think it can still give you some good gains. It's around 14 billion in market cap, and I do think this can also give you a 5 to 10x. I think it's a very safe pick and also a very solid pick, and I would definitely look something like AVAX. Obviously, it's very similar to something like Sui in terms of the market cap, but I think AVAX has been beaten up a lot, and it's a lot. There's still it's still down a lot from its all-time high, so I think it's a decent pick to get into. Next on the list, we have another layer one, which is Aptos. I like Aptos. It's a decent layer one. I think it's still slept on. It's got a growing ecosystem, and the TVL is growing month on month. Has had a hard time in terms of the price action. It's down over 30% over the past few months. It is around 5 billion in market cap, and again, the layer one narrative is highly competitive. But I do think a 5 to 10x is still possible on something like Aptos. So again, a 5x is around 25 billion, and a 10x is around 50 billion in market cap. A decent pick, and it has it's got a growing ecosystem. A lot of projects are starting to build on Aptos, so I do think it has potential from here. Next, we have Filecoin, storage-based project. And of course, the thing with Filecoin is, the weakness with this is the tokenomics and sort of dilution on this as well. But again, storage is another slept-on narrative. It is 3 billion in market cap, and I do think there is better picks in terms of storage. In terms of where it can go from here, I think 5x, 5 to 10x potentially. I'll put it in that category. Next, we have ICP. Now, another project which is known for its community. I haven't done too much research into it. I see people shelling this a lot, and has a lot of influencers who pretty much just follow ICP and just talk about ICP, which is a bit funny. But again, the community is something which is very important to a project. In terms of it going, I think some people are saying this is going to 100x. I don't think so. I think probably like a 5 to 10x. it is a layer 1 as well, but if I was going to pick a layer 1, it's not really top of my list, but again, probably 5 to 10x is possible. Next on the list, guys, is Monero, which is going into the privacy narrative. To be fair, this has pumped a little bit over the past month, but long term, I just don't really think this is a good investment. This is an ancient coin, and I just don't really think it's worth an investment. Next on the list, guys, we've got Ondo, which is one of the biggest RWA projects. Huge backing, ties to BlackRock, and this has the potential. It already is onboarding huge, big organizations, institutes as well. So for me, this is a good project. The only downside is the sort of dilution on this and the amount of tokens which the insiders hold. But fair point that the community make is every time there's an unlock, the dip just gets eaten up, which is a fair point and also a bullish point. It is around 4 billion. I do think a 5 to 10x is possible on Ondo. Very good pick, and I think RWA is going to be one of the biggest, and it's still the most underrated narrative in my opinion. So yeah, guys, I think it's a decent pick. Next on the list, guys, this is a project which I held for a long time, and then obviously they did the token update in terms of Polygon, and ever since then it's been a disaster. It's performed so badly that I had no choice but to remove it from my portfolio, pretty much at a loss as well, which I don't really do. And what can I say, guys? Is it because Ethereum hasn't been performing? We've seen, layer 2s are dead currently, potentially, but we've seen other layer 2s really perform, and I think Polygon is something which, at this stage, guys, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's worth it. I think in terms of layer 2s, when we see Ethereum start to pick up and we see this layer 2 narrative, I think there's better projects which are going to outperform Polygon. And for me, guys, I just do not think it's worth the investment. I think a lot of people have moved on, and for me, it's just really performed badly. So yeah, honest opinions, guys. You might not like it, but I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. Next on this, guys, is Chainlink, another very bullish project, which is an older project, but it is basically one of the best projects for onboarding huge institutes. It's another project, I believe, that World Liberty has also been accumulating, if I'm correct, and it has seen the sort of price pick up over the past few weeks. It's up around 30%. It is around 16 billion, so it is going to limit what gains it can do from here. Now, can it do a 5 to 10x? Again, all-time high is around $50, and it's around $25 currently. So I don't think it's going to do a 10x. I think probably a 5x for Chainlink. But again, a very good safety net, and something which is going to help you sleep at night if it's in your portfolio. Next on the list, guys, is Kronos, another project which everyone seems to have forgotten about. Of course, linked to crypto.com, the chain. And the marketing was really good. They acquired the crypto.com arena. They rebranded it to the crypto.com arena. And in terms of the ecosystem, I haven't really been keeping up to date with this, but it is a layer 1, and I'm not too sure about how big the ecosystem is with Kronos. It is around 4 billion, so it is pretty small in terms of a layer 1. But I just don't really see as much attention on it currently. 5x, 5 to 10x. I'm going to put it as a 5x, guys. I think I just don't see anyone talking about it. Maybe that's just me not seeing anyone, but when it comes to YouTubers, when it comes to X, I just do not see any attention on it currently. Maybe things will change if they sort of continue picking up their marketing, but overall I think there's better layer 1s to invest into. Ripple, is Ripple going to go to $100? No, it's not. But to be fair, it has performed very well over the past year. It's up around 500, 600%. So it's done well, and a lot of people were fading. A lot of people were trolling the community, and really just taking laughing at the community, and they had the final laugh because they've had more gains than a lot of these other high caps. But from here, guys, it's nearly 200 billion in market cap. It's not going to do more than a 3 to 5x in my opinion. I'm going to put this as a 3x. I think this 3x is nearly 600 billion. I don't really think it's too possible. Anyway, guys, I'm going to try and pick this up a bit because I don't want this to take too much time. Next, we have Optimism, another layer 2, and again, layer 2s have been pretty dead. But to be fair with Optimism, they have been developing, and again, it's fresher than something like Polygon. And for me, I think when Ethereum starts to pick up and we see the layer 2s start to perform, I think this is going to be a good pick, which could potentially give you a 5, potentially a 10x. It is very small market cap. It's around 2 billion. I do think 5 to 10x on optimism is possible. And, I would look to this over something like Polygon, unless Polygon can pick up and, really pick up from what they've been doing, because they've really been slacking too much for my liking. Next on the list, we've got VeChain, another project, another high cap, which, I do like. I think, it's performed well as well over the past year. And, we've seen a good amount of developments, essentially looking to, switch up and revolutionize the supply chain management. It's got a huge use case. It's got big backers, big partnerships with the likes of UFC, also the likes of BMW, big companies. And also, it's also a layer one as well. So again, I do think it does have potential. It is around 4 billion in market cap. I think potentially can give you a 5 to 10x from here. Next on the list, guys, is Beam, which has had a pretty big sell-off. And, people are starting to get scared when they see a little bit of a sell-off. For me, nothing's changed. The nodes are a very good addition to Beam. Essentially, the more nodes that are purchased, the more tokens they burn. And I think, in terms of the games they offer, the whole ecosystem is very bullish. Got very good games on it, good game developers on this as well. Huge use case, and they've also integrated AI into the project as well. Around 1 billion market cap, guys. This is going to be the first project which I believe can give you a 10x from here, 10, potentially 15x, guys. I do think that is possible for Beam. But of course, that is, I'm not telling you to wait for 15x, 10 to 15x, take profits along the way. But Beam is a very good pick in my opinion. Next on the list, guys, is Render, another very bullish project, another very good high cap. And this is another high cap which has huge use case in terms of, GPU rendering, and also onboards a huge amount of different, companies. You can use it for a huge variety of tasks, such as cinema production, 3D design, and also they have ties to Apple as well. And again, it's had a big, decent sell-off as well. It's down around 15%. And again, it is a decent market cap, around 3.6 billion. I think potentially a 10x. I'm going to put it in the 10x category. Again, I'm not saying 15x, guys, just bear in mind, but I think 10 to 15x. In fact, I'm going to put it here, guys, just to be a bit more conservative, because it is higher in market cap than something like Beam. But I wouldn't be surprised if it smashes through 10x. Next on the list, guys, we have Arweave, another very solid project, which is basically in the storage narrative. It's had a big sell-off, Arweave, real big sell-off. I think it's down around 30% over the past couple of months. And I think it's a very good, level to accumulate. It's around 1 billion in market cap, guys. And, I honestly think this has a lot of potential from here. Multiple narratives as well. Also, exposure to AI, layer one, and also storage. For me, guys, I think this can give you a 10x, potentially a 15x from here. And again, they've got good partnerships as well. So for me, it's a very solid pick. Next on the list, we have another project which is from the previous cycle, Decentraland. Now, if you're coming into crypto and you're looking at gaming and metaverse, you're going to be investing into projects which are fresher, which are newer. You're not going to be looking at Decentraland. For me, not worth it. Gaming is already, there's not much hype around gaming currently, but I wouldn't invest into something like Decentraland. Next on this, guys, we've got Mantra, layer one, and also in the RWA sector. I like this a lot, and I was covering this at when this was a lot lower in price. Since then, it's performed very well, and it's very close to breaking its all-time high. It is around 3.5 billion market cap. Previously, I would have said a 10x, but because it's ran up so much, I think 5 to 10x is more likely from here. But again, very solid project and a huge use case. Next, we have Cardano, and Cardano has also had a bit of a tough time, but to be fair, has pumped over the year, and it's up, I think, around 2x, but it's still down massively from its all-time high of around $3. Can it break its all-time high? Yes. Can it go to $10? I don't think so. I think probably Cardano is probably a 5x from here. I think it can give you more than the 3x, because again, the market cap is a lot smaller than some of these other picks, but it's not something I would look to invest into. Next on the list, we have another layer one, Algorand, and this is another project which I've been covering for a long time. Brings back memories for me as well. And bullish thing with Algorand, guys, it's also on the Made in America list, which is basically, we're going to see those projects perform well because of all the regulations and, the sort of incentives in terms of US-based crypto. HBAR is also one as well. And I think Algorand is also a very solid pick from here. I think, again, it's down massively from all-time highs. It has had a big recovery over the past year. It is up around 2x, and I think could potentially give you a 5 to 10x from here. Next on the list, guys, we've got Casper. And again, I'm going to be honest with you, Casper for me is the main thing with this is the community. Now, they're a very bullish community. You know, they will continue to shill Casper. Personally, for me, guys, I don't like it. And, you know, we've just seen no real growth in terms of the ecosystem. We saw sort of the meme coins get launched, and we've seen they haven't really taken off. And a lot of hype now is in regards to the Binance listing, which probably will come. But for me, I don't really see this going much further than a 5x from here. So yeah, guys, again, I'll probably get a lot of dislikes from them, but I'm not bothered, guys. Anyway, I've got this on twice on this list. Next is Psy, another very good pick. Another layer one, which is very close to the lows. And the main thing with this, guys, is you're not getting into this when it's already run up 10, 20, 30x. Of course, the early investors are up massively on it, but that's pretty much the same thing with a lot of these, you know, VC-backed layer ones. For me, Psy is another project which I believe can give you a 10 to 15x. It's very close to 1 billion in market cap, and I think it's a very good project to invest into. Next, we've got Solana. Again, this has had a big run up in regards to, you know, Trump's meme coin, which pretty much pumped this price and broke its all-time high. It's now $250, and you know it's very close. Well, it broke its all-time high. So can this go to $1,000 potentially, which is probably a 3 to 5x. Again, this is probably a 3x, guys. I think there's better picks in terms of investment, but again, Solana has performed very, very well. Next on the list, guys, we've got Bitten Tau, which is one of the best. I think it's the best AI project. Huge developments. They've got a huge ecosystem, and you know the amount of subnets continues to grow. And I really do think with this whole news in terms of the AI investment, this is going to perform very, very well. It's had a big sell-off as well. It's down around 30% over the past couple of months. And, you know, I do honestly think this can give you, it can give you a 10x in my opinion, guys. I'm going to put it in this category towards the top, which is a 10x. I think more than a 10x is getting a bit optimistic, but I don't really see any reason why it can't do a 5 to 10x from here. It has ran up, of course, over the past year, but it still does have growth in it. Next, we've got Virtuals. This is the king of AI agents. We've seen a huge narrative being built around AI agents, and this is pretty much the king where all the AI agents get launched. Base exposure as well. So, you know, you've got something which I think is on a big discount, around 30% down on the week. For me, I can see this potentially doing a 10x from here, potentially a 15x, guys. I think AI agents are going to continue to be huge, and Virtuals is the king of AI agents. So for me, a very, very solid pick. Next on the list, guys, we've got Arbitrum, and again, you know, similar case in terms of layer 2 is not performing too well, but you know, I do think, you know, has a good amount of TVL as well. And I think, you know, potentially can give you something like a 5 to 10x. It is a bit bigger than Optimism. We're going to put it in a 5x. I think, again, layer 2s are pretty saturated. There are quite a few layer 2s out there, and the hype is just not really too big currently. Next on the list, guys, we've got Cosmos, and this, I think everyone's forgotten about this project. It's just done absolutely nothing, isn't it, guys? You know, it's continued to fall. Reminds me of something like DOT in terms of its price action. For me, guys, I would avoid this. Not worth it. Next, we have Radium, one of the main decentralized exchanges on Solana, similar to something like Jupiter. And I do think we're going to continue to see growth. We saw it rally again, just like Solana, in relation to, you know, this Trump, because so many people were rushing to Radium to buy the meme coin. And, you know, of course, it is pretty big in market cap now. It is around 2 billion in market cap. So for me, I think probably it does something like a 5x from here. But again, I think it's going to give you much better returns than Solana from here. Altcoin, I wouldn't invest into that. Avoid. Next, we've got Jupiter, another DEX on Solana, similar to Radium, similar market cap. Probably do like a 5x as well. Bonk, now this was the biggest meme on Solana, I believe, before this Trump coin came and smashed it out. But they've got a massive community, and, you know, again, they've grown organically, and, you know, I do like what they're doing. I do like the sort of, you know, the whole community behind them. And, you know, I think it's a decent pick for a meme coin, which can, you know, still give you some good returns. It's around 2 billion. And I think, you know, potentially could give you like a 5 to 10x, something, you know, similar to something like Pepe in terms of returns. Which one's this? This is IMX, another gaming project. And again, I do like IMX. I do prefer Beam in terms of returns, but you know, IMX is also a very good choice if you're looking for, you know, some decent returns. It is higher than IMX market cap. I think it's around you know, 2 times bigger. So I think could potentially give you a 5 to 10x from here. I think gaming is going to be, you know, really big, and it is also a layer 2 as well. So, you know, when Ethereum starts to pick up, I do think, you know, it can perform. Injective, another very bullish layer 1. Again, this has sort of emphasis on the financial organizations. And, you know, I do like Injective. I think it's also on a very good discount. And, you know, in terms of what it can do, it's around 2 billion market cap. I do think this could give you a 10x, but I'm going to put it in the 5 to 10x. Something, you know, again, guys, just you know, pay attention. When I'm putting projects towards the top of this list, that means closer to a 10x. And the ones which are towards the bottom of this list are going to be, you know, closer to a 5x. But again, of course, Injective could definitely, you know, smash through a 10x, but just trying to be a bit conservative. Quant, another project which brings back memories, which you know, everyone was hyping around Quant, and it's just not really performed too well. And it's pretty much a stable coin from here. But you know, I do think maybe is, you know, people were saying that $1,000 mark, and you know, even I was saying I do still think it's possible, but I think, you know, people are probably going to be tired from waiting for $1,000, and are probably going to start to take profits at $500. But again, it's something which could shock everyone and pump out of nowhere. Next, we've got Gala Games, which has seen a lot of people have seemed to move on from this. And in terms of a gaming project, I think there's better picks, guys, but probably can still do a 5x. Sandbox, I don't think it's worth it. As I've said, gaming is a narrative which is heavily saturated, and you know, people are going to look for the newer, fresher projects. For me, it is not worth the investment. Next, we've got Brett. This is basically the biggest meme on Base, and you know, it's pretty much the mascot for Base. I think it's around 1 billion. Probably can give you a 5 to 10x. So yeah, guys, that is my you know, that's my honest opinion on sort of a high cap tier list. Again, you know, I'm just trying to be realistic with my predictions, and of course, if you don't agree with it, drop down below what you disagree with, and you know, I'll try my best to, you know, cover the project if I missed it. Anyway, guys, please don't forget to drop a like and also subscribe, and I'll see you very soon for the next video.